Hi, everyone. My name is Trey Rose, and I'm the creator of the Grateful Sheets, a new fantasy football drafting guide tool via Microsoft Excel that I hope will help you excel at your upcoming draft. This cool tool can be purchased at www.gratefulsheets.com, and you can also provide feedback and recommendations via Reddit, YouTube, and that website as well. If you have any additional questions, you can also reach out on there. This tool can be used for all types of drafts, keepers, redrafts, dynasties, 2 QB, superflex, tight end premium, whatever your league rules are, it will tailor your experience directly to what you need to have at your fingertips in order to hopefully win your league. I'm going to walk you through a little how-to tutorial today, but once again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. All right, I'm sharing my screen here, and you'll notice that the first thing we're looking at is the in-draft dashboard. This dashboard is where you're going to spend most of your time, and I want you to get a quick peek at it before we jump to some of the less exciting things, but these are the things that you need to start with. You'll notice at the very bottom, you'll notice that the tabs down here are different colors. The greens are your summary tabs, your purples are your deep dive tabs, and your yellows are your implementation tabs. We're going to start with those yellows and start at the rules one specifically and talk about what you need to do here. Starting out here, you're going to enter your team information in here. You're going to enter your draft information. You're going to enter roster information, scoring information, and VBD cutoff information. The one thing that's worth noting here is please make sure that you enter your team name in here and you fill in all of the yellow cells that you see within here that are relevant for you. You will also notice that there are buttons down here that allows you to use this tool over and over again for different reasons. One is to reset the draft and keep the settings the same. So that will just reset the draft picks, and it will reset the keepers and trades, etc. You can reset the entire draft plus settings, which will reset everything on here. And then you also can refresh the data down here, which will give you updated live projections, updated rankings, updated player information throughout your document. Please keep in mind it takes 1 to 2 minutes once you click those buttons, and it may freeze your document, but just give it a quick second. There's a lot of things that it's doing in the background. One thing I want to touch on here is for those who are familiar with value-based drafting, VBD drafting, this is a very simple automation to it. If you want to, you can put in you can use more complex tools to put in your own VBD cutoffs here. You'll also notice that there are notes in each one of a lot of these different cells that will tell you what a lot of these things will mean. Moving on, in this next tab, you have the ability to implement trades for picks in drafts that allow that. It's as simple as clicking the dropdown and putting what new team is going to take over that pick. On the next one, personal ranks. This gives you the ability to type in here what your actual ranks are, which will then implement within the in-draft dashboard. You'll notice here that Tyreek Hill is put at number 1, and his name went from red to white right here. This is just to let you know if you've missed out on a player as you're putting players on your draft board. You also have the ability to flip these to yes or no, and it will change whether or not they are bolded or highlighted red in your dashboard as well, for just to visually look at who are targets and who are not. Next is keepers. For leagues that have keepers in here, is as simple as putting the player in, the team in, and then what pick they're going to be kept at. Next is mock drafts. If you are using a platform such as Sleeper or other platforms that allow you to do mock drafts ahead of time, you can implement the results of that mock draft here, and that will go into the formulas that create a lot of the projection systems, the ADPs, et cetera, et cetera. Please make sure to also put the data in at the top as well. All right, now the fun stuff. We're going to dive really quickly into the in-draft dashboard, excuse me. Starting at the very top, there's a lot going on here. On the right-hand side, this is your upcoming picks. It snakes around here. And this last one right here is always going to be what is your next pick after these picks that are already in front of you. You'll also notice that your team, my name is Team 3, is always going to be highlighted green for you to see that. All of these picks are via a proprietary projection system that looks at team needs, draft trends, are there runs at different positions, is there value left on the board, etc. And it's all color-coded for that specific type of position. Starting on this left-hand side, though, you'll notice here that this is where you're going to submit the actual pick that comes in. It is literally as simple as typing in the name right here or having the drop-down menu. It will show you what the current pick is, but for some reason it's a different pick. You're just going to choose this right here, and you're going to type in what that new pick is. So if you want it to be pick 50, you type in pick 50. Just make sure you change it back to whatever your next pick is that you want to draft after that. It shows you what the last selection here is, and then it's as simple as clicking submit pick. You'll notice here that it is projecting me to take Davante Adams. Keenan Allen is not projected to go until 58 right here to me as well. But if you hit submit pick, you'll notice that James Cook here, it may change. Let's see. James Cook is still on the board there, but Davante Adams dropped to 46 based off of the projection system. You'll also notice as you're working through this that there's a key up here that's going to share different types of information as you can look throughout here. There's going to be different font coloring and shades, cell fills of colors that are going to represent either quantity surplus or deficit, and then the quality of that position compared to the rest of your league mates. And those are all found down here, which are based off of the quantity of people at each position as well. If you scroll down here, you'll see that this is the best available tab. Once again, if you hover over a lot of these, you can also see notes that go with each one of these sections. This section right now is sorted by average ADP, which is taken by hundreds of different rankings that are implemented into this document. But you can also change this to sort by VBD or personal rankings or projected points. You can also click this button right here, and it will expand positions to show accordingly to look at each position. Here is a summary of a lot of that information that was just posted right there by position, either sorted by highest ADP or highest VBD left on the board currently. Before I move on, I did miss one thing up here. You have the ability to also revert the last pick. You also have the ability to click this see and edit draft results, and it will show you the draft board that all of those picks, those buttons of submit pick, is going into that next slot. You have the ability to go in here and implement the picks directly. So if you wanted to take Terry McLaurin here, simple as typing in that name right there, and then it will change everything accordingly up top. You can then click this, and it will then hide all of the rest of that information as well. Moving along, this little green section here shows you the ability to trade picks. Please keep in mind you still have to implement the pick in the yellow tab. This just shows you what the rough value of that pick is going to be and what that return is. You then have the ability, whether you're implementing a trade or just you want to implement a selection, you can flip this to yes, and you can put a player in here, and it will show you what it's going to do for your team with all of these projections over here. Now, these projections, this first section here only looks at your starting lineup, and this one right here looks at your total bench plus starters. This is all based off of two different things here. Your first category right here is your simple projection. As a very simple apples to apples comparison, which you can get more information by looking at that. And then these two right here look at the actual complex projection of what is being projected up here and what that is doing to your teams accordingly. There's a lot of variance if you use that early in the draft because there's obviously a lot of things that can happen between each pick. But as you start to fill your team, these become a little bit more relevant. This section just simply shows the complexion of your roster, your starting lineup, and positions. Down here, you can look at tiers, and you can sort them by either VBD or ADP, as well as by position, filtering them out down here. This brown section right here allows you to select my team, current pick, or other teams, and look at what the current roster is of that team, as well as the positional ranks by position, either total points or average points, again, with a description there. You'll notice as well that as you draft players, those players will highlight green, and the rest of them are your projected picks throughout the draft here. This purple section shows your recent picks, and this green section shows the next pick probability of all the players that are left on the board, sorted by ADP. This first one's always going to show the current pick, and then everyone thereafter is going to show your specific picks coming up in the draft. This post-draft summary shows you who were the biggest reaches, who were the biggest steals, what were your projected standings based off of different types of standings here from this drop-down menu. What kind of value did you bring back in the draft? What were the full draft results? And then what is your full team right here? This will all update live in time as picks are made as well. These purple tabs here are your deep dive tabs that will allow you to see what the draft board is currently. You'll notice that the players have a 0 in parentheses right now. That's purely because that's going to be bye week, and right now the bye weeks are not released, so those will be updated as they come out. And you can also see the roster complexion of each team up here. If a team has the ability to trade for a pick, right now there are none in here, but let's say Team 7 traded for this pick to draft Stefon Diggs. Team 7 will highlight in bold letters right here and it will say Team 7. But if your league cannot do picks, it's as simple as looking down the column to see your entirety of your team. The next one is a deep dive on tiers. This looks at tiers of different positions that are within your draft. If your draft does not have kickers and defense, then it will not show those accordingly. You have the ability to only show available, or you can flip this to no, and it will switch and it will show everybody on the board. But give it a quick second and it will update, but it will cross out all of the names who have been taken already. You can sort this by ADP or VBD. Once again, as you're using these filters, please give it 3 to 5 seconds just to update with all the information that's going into this. Your team view is going to look at each team here and show the projected points of each player and show where you rank within the rest of the league here. Your rankings, these are all of the rankings that are deemed to be specifically relevant to your league. You'll notice that this is a redraft league. You're not going to see any dynasty rankings here. It's not a super flex league. You're not going to see any super flex rankings. All of those are obviously very different and have a lot of variance to them. So you're going to see that there are only relevant ones up here. With that said, you will also notice that there is a relevance ranking down here that is going to show which ones are the most relevant compared to what you are looking for. That could be based off of league settings. It could be based off of the reliability of the platform that it's using, the writer, all kinds of good things there. But it allows you to take a look and say, okay, Davante Adams is ranked 31st in this one, 14th in this one, 19th in this one, so on and so forth. Moving right along, your next one is your availability tab. This is just a deeper dive on the widget that you saw on the first tab on the in-draft dashboard that shows the players that are currently available, which is you can click here and say only available, or you can click all and it will show all players accordingly and will then also cross them out. And then lastly, depth charts. These will also be updated as you use the refresh button. And this just shows where the current standings of different depth charts are throughout the league, and they will automatically cross out as players are drafted. Once again, I appreciate your time. I know there's a lot going on here, so please don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. I hope this guide and this tool can help you win your league. I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you once again.